This is a tribute to my mother, second born, first son, along with my son, Uriel Andre Douglas Jr., and his two children, Genesis and Frederick Douglas. We are the Douglas family from St. Martin, and this is our tribute in memory of my mother. I will try to be as short as possible, even though it is very hard to condense a lifetime in just a few minutes. My memory will take me back to the age of 3 and 4, when my mother would take me along with her to the farm, where she would always put me to sit down on a brown sugar bag under a big soursop tree, as she wadded herself with a flour bag around her waist and would begin picking cotton from the tree. While she was picking cotton, she would either be singing, humming, or praying. At times I could remember hearing her pray that God would protect my sister, which was then in school, from all accident and trouble that she may face. This routine will go on and on until the cotton harvest was over. As with all loving mothers, anything that my mother was given to eat, she would never forget her two children. She always made sure, like the eagle, that she had something to bring back to share with us. At the age of 8, my sister being 10 years, my mother was given away to be married, and because of insufficient living accommodation, we were left with our grandparents. Though she was gone, we were never forsaken. She would walk the distance from Gingerland to Butlers to look for us. Sometimes she will get a horse ride with a church brother by the name of Brother Freeman. Every time she visited, her words to us were, "Mother, pray for you every day." She would never visit us with an empty hand. Sometimes it's sugar cake, mince, cut cane, bread nut, kanky, or cake that she made. As I got older, I was taught to ride a bicycle by my uncle, Ivor Douglas, who then selflessly, after learning to do so, gave me his bike, and because of that, I was able to visit my mother just about every other Saturday. At this time, my sister was sent to Sabre to be a maid for the Riley family. My mother was a giver, and indeed she was a giver. The land at Box Hill, where she and her family reside, was not big, but every time that there is a harvest, she would always make sure that she shares with her in-laws and especially a family friend whose last name is Maynard, not too far from her residence. This is one of the things that I will never forget as long as I live. Whenever I am leaving to ride back home to Butlers, my mother would always take the time to pray with me for God's protection. She would walk along with me to the streets, then to the ex-premier house, Mr. Vance Emery, who and I became good friends afterwards. At the age of 14, one Saturday afternoon, after Mother prayed with me for God's protection, while riding back home, and I reached to Zion Hill, on my descent, the brakes of the bike gave away. Suddenly, the bike picked up an uncontrollable speed. As I reached to the curve at the bottom of the hill near the school, where the reservoir is at, is a bridge, and that bridge had no railing, and the front wheel of the bike narrowly missed the edge of the bridge by approximately 3 inches or less. The people that were there standing, waiting to fetch water and standing at the side of the bridge, placed their hands on their head as they saw that I was coming down at this speed, knowing that it is impossible to make that turn without going over the bridge and fall to my death. When the bike get to the bottom of the hill and stopped, I got off the bike and I knelt down on my knees with my hands lifted towards God, and I said, God, thank you. Folks, if you don't believe, let me tell you, the prayers of a mother works. God answers the prayers of our mothers. Fast forward. At the age of 16 and 10 months, I decided to leave home due to some situation that I will not address. I went to my mother and explained to her what it was. And I told her that I'm leaving. I have to leave. About a week after, she had an assignment to go to St. Kitts and said that I will take you along with me. My uncle then, Ivor Douglas, drove me to Charlestown, where he paid from his pocket $6 and put me on that sailing boat that travels between Nevis and St. Kitts. Some of you might know it. It's a sailing boat with a white stripe painted red. When we got to St. Kitts, my mother asked the lady that she went to work for if I can stay at her place for at least 1 month. And she said yes. As my mother and I were departing some weeks after, she said something that I will never forget. She said, son, wherever you are going or traveling to, always put God first. Have manners and respect for others. Never stop saying good morning, good afternoon, good night, and thank you. Then finally she said, always make sure that your underwears are clean. After saying these things, my mother did the forbidden, illegal thing, which was never seen or done while growing up in my household. She reached out to me with her arms and hugged me and said, son, I love you. I then broke down in tears and began to weep, not from lashes or a beating, but from those 4 words, son, I love you. As she waved her hands goodbye to me while she was leaving, she was also crying. Finally, when my mother and I were reunited in 2001, it was a joyous moment. She would bring me sometimes the things that she used to when I was a kid. Things like peanuts, sugar cake, homemade bread and cake. I could not say no. I asked her one day, why are you really doing this? And her reply to me was, I'm just trying to catch up for the time that you were away. I missed you. My mother was a praying woman, selfless, always giving, and never failed to sacrifice her time to help others. She was a godly woman, one of dignity. In 2014, I fell from a tree while doing a kind deed for my neighbor and broke my 2 foot. According to how the tree limb broke and struck the ladder while being 14 feet up from the ground, I should have landed on my side or my head. Instead, I landed on my feet on some very sharp marble that was at the bottom of that tree. Helpless and unable to move as my breathing became very slow. I felt like I was going to die. I thought of my mother then, at the same time, and these words, son, I pray for you and your sister that God would protect you every day. After being taken to the hospital and the process of healing began, one night I had a dream In that dream, an angel of the Lord came and took my body. As I looked on, it was taken into the sky and disappeared. Not long after, the lyrics and melody of this song came to me. I then went to my little studio and I recorded it. This song has not been heard before. It was meant to be played at my funeral for my mother to hear my last words. I have always felt I would have gone before her, having been through 10 near-death experiences, not including 3 that took place last year. Rest in peace, my mother, till we meet again.
Till we meet again, till we meet again. Someday we'll meet at Jesus' feet. Pain and sorrow shall be no more. There we'll lift our hands together as we worship round the throne. Can hardly wait for that